Joy to the world. Welcome back. Oh, we are here, but it's not titled, Scott. This episode isn't titled. You got to title it. Hi, everybody. In the edit, when you hit edit the details, I think it's too late now. I can on Twitter. Hi, everybody. Kira Davis. Welcome to the Orange Report. Sorry, we're just, we're doing it live, everybody. Want to make sure the Newsoms are crashing out. There we go. It's telling me the broadcast is not available. Okay. Yeah, look at mine. Sorry, everybody. I'm live. All right, everybody, welcome. The Newsoms are crashing out. That's what we're talking about today. I'm Kira Davis. Welcome to the Orange Report. This is all the news you can view and news and views you can use from around California and Orange County. My name is Kira Davis. Go follow me on X at Kira Davis and follow the Orange Report at the Orange Report OC on X and Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, wherever you're watching. But we stream live to X, and we've been trying to do it to Facebook as well. So maybe you're on there. But thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a lot to talk about. The title of today's episode is The Newsoms Are Crashing Out. The Newsoms are crashing out. It's Nick Shirley has dropped his report. Excuse me. And the Newsoms are crashing out. Why don't we do this? No, why don't we do this? Why don't we start with this? I did want to talk about, before we get into the Newsoms, because we're definitely going to talk about the Newsom crash out, and it's epic. This could be the beginning of the end in my mind. I want to talk about video I saw yesterday, which I did not pull up for today, but I do feel like I have to say something. All right, I saw two videos yesterday. All right, this is for Black folks. This is the blackity black section. I saw two videos yesterday, one from the Houston Rodeo and one from Daytona Beach. Can you guess what I'm about to say? It was a whole damn mess. Houston Rodeo, shooting, people everywhere. Daytona Beach, shooting, people running everywhere. I already knew who I was going to see before I turned it on. And who did I see? Yep, us, Black people. And I feel like we can do better. I've always been saying that. That's actually why I'm a conservative. I'm a conservative because I'm Black. I'm a conservative because I believe that the Black community has been used and abused and tricked. And we have had everything good about our culture or our ethnicity, our communities. We've had all that stripped from us. And I'm going to say Democrats have been putting filth and trash into our communities for years, for decades. And now this is who we are. This is pretty much, at this point in America's history, this is almost a guaranteed outcome where we all gather to celebrate something in one place. Almost something like that. And I'm not talking about church or something like that, but these public events. And you can ask any Black person anywhere in America, what is the biggest Black event where you are? And most sensible Black people would say, I don't go to that though. I don't go there. I say the Democrat, there's a part of me that wants to be like, this is an us versus them thing, right? This is not left versus right. We've had filth and trash dumped into our communities and on top of our children, specifically our children. Right? I'm not talking about there's lots of other stuff going on other places. I'm talking about this now. And I would say there's a part of me that wants to say, well, yeah, this is not a left-right thing. This is a us versus them thing. This is like the elites versus the rest of us. But it is a Democrat thing. Otherwise, if it were a Republican thing, we'd be voting for Republican in rates of 90 to 95%, right? That's what. So it's got to be a Democrat thing, because if it's a Republican thing, it's not working. We're not dying off like some people claim Republicans want to do to black people, want to kill all black people. Well, we're not dying off. We're pretty much holding steady at 12 to 13% of the population. The only people that are getting, by the way, we could be more black people. The only people who are getting us to kill ourselves off are Democrats. They put Planned Parenthoods in our neighborhoods and they tell us killing our babies is help. Killing our babies is justice. When you kill your baby, you're killing our political capital. To the tunes of millions. We could actually have a lot more black people in this country. But Democrats tell us that they don't want more black people. They tell us that having more black people in America is actually bad. It'll be bad for America. It'll be bad for us, black people. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They don't tell you that outright. No, they tell you that when they take 5 Planned Parenthoods and dump them in the middle of your neighborhood. I live in a nice, cozy, white suburb. I couldn't tell you where the Planned Parenthood is around here, but when I lived in Gary, Indiana, in a black neighborhood, I could tell you where the nearest 3 were. All of this is on purpose. Okay. And so I think the only way we're going to stop this is if those of us who see what's going on and understand what's going on, stand up and say something, and don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of people calling you a racist or a sellout or whatever. I'm perfectly fine with saying this stuff because I'm a conservative because I'm black. That's actually me serving the black community is actually what made me a conservative. That's actually what changed my mind about everything. So I feel perfectly comfortable saying, black folks, we're better than this. And what we've been sold has been a total lie. And it's led to this. So those of us who understand what's going on need to stand up and call it out and say, we're embarrassed by it. We don't approve it. Do better. But that's a whole other thing. Why aren't we doing better? What can we do to do better? You can start by turning to Jesus. Go get yourself baptized. Turn to Jesus. And you can also start by raising your own children. Dads, if you got a baby mama, go marry her. Moms, if you have a baby daddy, marry him. And if you can't do that, then keep yourself for marriage. Keep yourself until you have the opportunity to share yourself with a man who's going to take care of you and your children. That's what marriage is. That's the guarantee for that. Okay. Let's start with what's been going on with Nick Shirley here in California. We've been waiting. If you guys don't follow Amy Reichart on X, she is the San Diego reporter, and she was doing a lot of work with Nick while he was here, particularly in the Southland. And Amy's one of the best. Amy is one of the best. If you're not following her, you're missing a lot of good California news. She went all over with Nick Shirley. They hunted down a lot of fraud. He's found up to $170 million in one investigation here in California. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's go ahead and play this clip. Number 3, Scott. Play this clip from X. It's just about 2 minutes running down the report, and then we'll get into the crash out. It's
Yeah, I was like, I wasn't there.
Go ahead.
Here is Hayden Sarah Family Childcare. This is a daycare right here. Apparently, they have 14 children enrolled. Tell us a little bit more about this daycare right here. We're in the middle of the hills here in San Diego.
So, according to state records, when inspectors arrived here, there were 14 kids enrolled, but 0 present. And then this place was also cited for having missing children's records and also not having a facility roster.
It's kind of weird that there's this daycare in the middle of a neighborhood. Hello?
I was naked, okay?
No, you weren't.
I can see you.
Okay,
I was like,
stop.
I wasn't dressed up.
It's not playing.
Either way,
It's like the sound is playing, but the video is not playing for some reason. Oh, well. Okay. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post. But I suggest you go and watch that. It's Nick's report, but they found a daycare. I'll just narrate it for you. Again, we're live. We're just figuring it out. But they found a daycare here in Southern California, in San Diego, and there were 14 children registered to there. They had, I think, taken about $12 million in funding, and not a single child there. Do you see it? Yeah, I don't know why the video is not popping up in the live feed. Like I can see it with my own eyes, but for some reason it's not coming through the feed. That's fine. $170 million total. Okay, so Nick went to San Diego with Amy. He did some stops here in Orange County. Thank you, Nick, with Urson Russell, who is also running for state assembly. He did some stuff up north, and in LA in particular, he ran into a lot of the Armenian daycare and hospice centers that are in LA. A lot of people don't know this, but the Armenian community is mobbed up in LA. We love the Armenians, like we love the Armenian neighbors. It's not like having, like if you have Muslim neighbors, you know, typically the Muslims are there. It's their goal. They're evangelists, right? So it's their goal to spread out. Armenian neighbors, a lot of them are fairly conservative, not all of them, but they still do come from a culture that is not American. There is an Armenian mob in LA, and it's pretty nasty. A lot of them are in Glendale. Glendale has a big Armenian mob. So Nick A., you be careful out there, okay? These are not just people who are stealing money. These are people who are parts of huge networks. I did notice that everywhere Nick goes, these are foreigners. These are foreigners. These are foreigners. Everywhere he goes, it's foreigners. Now, Gavin Newsom and the mainstream press have been out there complaining about Nick Shirley, digging for fraud, which should tell you a lot, but they're complaining about it. And they're saying, you know, that Nick's a bigot and a racist because all these people are foreigners. Well, he's just following where the state data leads. He's only getting the data from the state. Again, you don't have to depend on Nick. You can go to Amy Reichardt's feed and she does the same thing right where she is in San Diego. He's only using the state data. Okay, so if people like Governor Newsom and people on the left are saying, well, he's only going after foreigners, you know, there's plenty of American fraud. Please go dig that up. Like, great. Thank you. Okay, plenty of American fraud. Why is the response to shut down Nick Shirley instead of going to find the correct fraud yourself? If that's the issue, by all means, please, ABC7 News, Gavin Newsom, KTLA, KCRA, LA Times, Sacramento Bee, by all means, go dig up the American fraud in California hospice and daycare. We're happy to find that too. Like they don't even want to do that. Are you getting it yet? It's a game. It's a game. Let's see how Gavin Newsom's Z team, I call them the Z team. He's got this Gen Z comms team that don't know what they're doing. They of course they understand social media and technology, but they don't understand history and they're not smart. So they don't read and they don't understand the man they're working for. So a lot of times they defend him but they don't know that, you know, he's already guilty. Like he's already cheated. He's already, we already know about the affair with his best friend's wife, right? We already know about his affairs. We already know. We already know this stuff about him, but his team does not. So they'll post stuff willy-nilly and he'll end up looking stupid. He's too stupid to fire them yet. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm really not. Like, go for it. I'm enjoying it. All right, let's show number one, clip one here. This is Gavin Newsom's response to the Nick Shirley investigation. And here's what he's saying that if you're just listening, it's Gavin Newsom's press account. And there is a picture of a creepy guy. AI clearly did this. A creepy guy that's supposed to look like Nick Shirley. He's covered in cameras. He's got a creepy white face and he's staring into a classroom and he's saying, "Hey, can I see your kids?" And they think that's funny. They think that's funny. And show us how Nick responded, because that's the real money right there. Nick's response. Can you see Nick Shirley's response on this? Yeah. Scroll down until you see it. Right there. Keep going. There it is. You do realize this response has 200,000 likes on it. You do realize I'm trying to help America eliminate fraud and waste, right? No need to try and make me look like the bad guy for exposing fraud. People are over it. Start working for the people and not against them. And thank you. Yes, Nick. Yes. And thank you for calling that out. Absolutely. If everybody's so reactive, I'm talking to you lefties now. Everyone's so reactive, you're not stopping to think about what you're reading. You're not stopping to think about what you're seeing. What is it exactly that you don't like about what Nick is doing? He's digging up fraud and waste. Why would the governor of a state accuse a reporter of being creepy for investigating fraud and waste in his state? Wouldn't the governor want to know those things? I can tell already a lot of you are shaking your head because you're saying, no, the governor's in on those things. I don't know. We're just asking questions here. But, if your reaction to a young man, I mean, Nick Shirley's he's nowhere near Gavin's age. He's a young man. Just a young guy with a camera and a passion for information. To accuse a young man of being creepy because he doesn't think that anybody should get state taxpayer dollars to run a daycare that doesn't have kids, and to call him creepy. Yeah, I think the problem is you. I think the problem is you guys. It was such a bizarre overreaction, but it's actually still going on. I suggest you follow all Newsom's account, California governor, his press account, and his personal account, Gavin Newsom. Now, if you reply to the California governor account or the press account, you're going to get suppressed. I'm not quite sure who they have on the inside at X. I've tapped Elon a couple of times about it. Maybe you guys want to tag him too. But to me, I spend enough time on this platform, and I spend enough time with the Newsom brand to understand the metrics. You get a feel for it after a while. It's sort of innate. They've got something going on. So I suggest just looking at it. If you reply, it's going to get squashed. Your best shot is to reply to Gavin personally. But that being said, they are crashing out. Gavin Newsom is utterly humiliated. And you can tell by this reaction, because it is the most absurd, childish, odd thing to say about a report. Again, Nick nailed it. Why? There's no need to come after me. There's no need to accuse me for exposing fraud. I'm literally exposing fraud and waste using your data. Again, ask yourself, why are they fighting this so hard? Why are they taking to personal attacks of young people who are actually going to get facts? See, the Governor Newsom was just going to let that all stay secret. He was just going to let that go by. Hopefully nobody noticed. He puts out a tweet every now and then saying, look, I have directed people to stop hospice fraud, even though he says he signed hospice fraud legislation in 2021. Never heard of it. He says he signed it in 2021 and it's 2026. And Nick Shirley is digging this up right now. So either Gavin Newsom is lying or he is a deeply ineffective governor. Either way, he is certainly not fit to be your president. And I think that's becoming very clear to him. As a matter of fact, I said this yesterday on the show, but I thought it was very interesting that Gavin did not show up at the Oscars. That's our Super Bowl here in California. That is, if you want to go and make a splash and be seen and glad hand people, and that's what Gavin likes, right? He likes to be a part of the elite. Nancy was there. Nancy and Paul were there. Nancy and Paul Pelosi showed up. And where was Gavin Newsom, the current governor of California? He was in Austin, Texas, selling books, probably on our dime. We have no proof otherwise. Mr. Newsom, if you would like to submit the receipts, we take receipts on this show. He was in Texas while the Super Bowl of California was going on, the Oscars. And then he had the nerve to brag. He had the nerve to brag about all of the tax credits he's been giving the film industry while the Oscars was going on, and he was in Austin. Why wouldn't the governor of California, who is stumping for president, He's campaigning right now for president. Why wouldn't the governor of California show up to the Oscars of all places? If you're going to campaign and you have and that's a place where you're expected to show up, right? It's not like you're like crashing the party. You're the governor of California. Just like in the UK, the royalty attend the BAFTAs, right? That's part of their culture. It's a cultural event. How did Gavin not go to the Oscars and Nancy and Paul Pelosi did? You want to know why Gavin didn't go? Why wasn't Jennifer Siebel Newsom there? We're going to talk about her in a sec. Miss, what was her misrepresentation? Is that the name of her dumb film that all of our students are forced to watch to the tune of millions of dollars? She's a filmmaker. She wanted to be rich and famous in Hollywood. She even knelt at the Weinstein altar to do that. Why wasn't she there? Right? Like, you would think you would take advantage of being the governor's wife during the Oscars and go to the Oscars as a filmmaker and be seen with all those people. That's because everybody hates them. That's why. That's the answer. The answer is everybody hates the Newsoms. Everybody hates Gavin and Jen Newsom. Even the hateful and hateable celebrities at the Oscars, even they hate the Newsoms. Even they don't want the Newsoms around. And don't forget, a lot of you have already forgotten because we're like 5 crises beyond this now. But last year, a large portion of Los Angeles burned down. And it's still not even close. It's not even begun to be rebuilt. And these are the wealthy people who are Gavin's donors. That was the last of it. That was right there. Malibu, Pacific Palisades, and there was a lot of legacy families in Eaton too who lost their homes, who's now those properties have been sold to developers, y'all. Eaton's done. Eaton's gone. Eaton's going to be a Section 8 paradise. That's what it's going to be. And all those celebrities had homes there, had investments there. Some of them grew up in that area. So no, they don't appreciate Gavin Newsom. They didn't appreciate Gavin when he's running all over the state during the fires, podcasting, right? They hate Gavin. Everybody hates Gavin. And this is why I think it's so odd that he is really doubling down on this presidential quest. I can't quite get my arms around it. The only thing and I know a lot of you are like, well, it's just pride, but I don't even believe in that anymore. I wrote an article this morning. You can go to my Substack to see it. It's justkiradavis.com. It's on the pay side. So you'll have to be a subscriber to see it, but it's called The Misery is the Point. And I talk about how I used to believe that all of these terrible consequences were caused by poor decision-making and weak thinkers in government. But I don't believe that anymore. I think it's deliberate. I think if you have eyes to see and you can see patterns, you can begin to see why did they do this when they could do that? Because misery is the point. The point is to make you a person of free will and productivity. It's to make you give up without taking your ball and go home, right? They're trying to force you into a corner where you give up and you go, you know what? I don't vote anymore and I don't participate anymore because what's the point? Or you become a criminal yourself. That's the point. Misery is the point. And so when it comes to Gavin Newsom and why is he still running for president, even though it's going horribly? Today's a very bad day they are crashing out. They are crashing out big time. And I'm going to play something from Jen in a little bit to bolster my point. But why are they continuing this? I think it's because I think it's for several reasons. I don't think he's in charge of this. Okay, I think that this has been a plan since he was a young boy. This is why he is the play nephew or the play grandson of Nancy Pelosi and Paul Pelosi. He's a benefactor of the Gettys, and of course, his wife's family is also very wealthy and connected and Republican. But this has been the plan from the start. That's why Kimberly Guilfoyle was married to him. Y'all remember that? I know a lot of you don't. A lot of you don't even know. Kimberly Guilfoyle, formerly of Fox News, formerly Don Trump Jr.'s fiance, now the ambassador to Greece. Girl, go ahead and get yours. Not even mad about it. You know what? You put in all that time with Don Jr. I don't know what the relationship was between the two of you, but this is how politics work. When it was time to say goodbye to her, they didn't just kick her to the curb, right? They gave her a nice cushy position to keep her in the circle. And I actually am a big fan of Kimberly Guilfoyle's for that. I love it. I love watching her work in Greece. But you'll notice that Kimberly rarely says anything about Gavin, and she rarely says anything about her time with the Trumps either. That's a steel trap. That's a smart girl right there. But that's why she was married to Gavin. He was the mayor of San Francisco, and he had connections, and he had a plan. Somebody else had a plan for him. And the Pelosi's are still some of the most powerful people in politics. So she knew, and Kimberly Guilfoyle wanted to be first lady. I don't think she made that a secret. She almost, she was close. But, Kimberly's also smart, and she just couldn't tolerate Gavin for too long. So she went on her way. But mad respect to Kimberly. She's been fairly quiet about what she knows about that time with Gavin. I'm sure the Trumps know more about it. But Newsoms has had this plan. This has been the plan from the start. Everything that he does here. This is why we had a reparations committee. Do you guys know what happened to the reparations committee? No, nobody does. I do, because I looked it up. But he gave us his reparation committee, and once the committee released its report, that went national. All the conservative outlets were complaining about it. It was like a $13 trillion price tag. It was ridiculous, and that was just a portion of it. Ridiculous, but even Gavin Newsom knew that he couldn't sign a reparations bill of trillions of dollars for the state of California and run for president. And so, but he couldn't just pretend it didn't happen or make it go away. He needs that to run in the communities that don't really know him or like him, which is Black and Hispanic communities. And so he made a commission instead. So he made a permanent commission. So now we have a reparations department in the DOJ. It's got a $6 million budget, and it's got some disturbing aspects to it. There's actually a property seizure division in this legislation, believe it or not. It's tucked there under the DOJ. The Department of Reparations is tucked under the DOJ. And if you go read the language for it, there is a division called property seizure. And it's basically DEI property seizure. If they run investigations and determine that there's some piece of property that has been taken unfairly due to racial bias, they give themselves permission to seize the property. I haven't heard of it being used yet. But if you have, let me know. We'll definitely send Nick Shirley over there. But this is what he did. He did the reparations committee because he's going to use that to run for president. This is why Gavin can't stop. There's only one mission, and lefties aren't flexible because the enemy doesn't create. It can only imitate. Lefties are not flexible. They only have one path forward, and it's been a successful path, and so they haven't had to make any adjustments or tweaks until now. But now they don't have the ability to pivot because they've actually educated themselves into a corner they cannot get out of. Right? They've educated themselves. They put themselves at the top of the food chain, and now they're stuck there. They don't know how to change. They don't know how to pivot. So Gavin Newsom is still going to go out there and run for president, even though nobody likes him, even in his own state, even in his own party. And it looks to me like even the Pelosi's have abandoned him, to be honest. How was Nancy showing up at the Oscars and Gavin wasn't? Am I the only one who thinks that's weird? I think everyone is done with Gavin, and that's why he is crashing out on a book tour right now. Everyone is done with him. There's no one to blame. He can point to Donald Trump all he wants. Donald Trump doesn't run the state. Donald Trump doesn't run Huntington Beach or Los Angeles. Donald Trump doesn't run Sacramento. Donald Trump didn't close your schools, close your business, close your oil pipelines, close your refineries, force thousands and thousands of acres of toxic solar panels into your environment, steal your water, steal your electricity, close your nuclear plants so your electricity bills go through the roof. Trump did none of that. Republicans did none of that in California. Republicans have zero power here. It's only Democrats. Those are the only people to blame. Again, why is Gavin still doing this? Has been his plan from the start. And to be fair, it wasn't that crazy to think that he could get away with this when he started. They were winning everything. They had California locked up. The jungle primary system killed it. The jungle primary system killed. Jungle primaries are coming to you. Idaho, Ohio, I think Virginia, they're coming to you. If you see them, top 2 jungle primary, it's got different names, reject it, out of hand. Okay, that's what we have in California. We started a Democrat supermajority when we got the jungle primary. There's nobody else to blame here. And that's why I think Gavin wasn't at the Oscars. And that's why I think he's not in California right now while Nick Shirley is here. That's why he's on a book tour. That's why he's handed over his comms to a group of Gen Zers who have absolutely no historical knowledge of California, even in the last 10 or 20 years. And that's why they are constantly making him look stupid. And I know that because they're Gen Z and they don't have a very wide scope, they don't know what other people are saying. They're only looking at their own people. So they look at they probably have the negative responses filtered out, to be honest with you, because that's also how those kids operate. And that's how they've been taught to operate. And they will only look at the positive responses, or they'll drop it and never look again. But the thing they don't do is go look at other media. Like, they're not watching Nick Shirley's reports, right? They're not watching this show. They're not on Conservative X or they're not on Rumble researching the enemy. They don't have their TVs on Fox. My TV is on 3 stations all day long. Fox, M Snow, or whatever the hell they're calling themselves, and CNN. What's that? What's happening? Why do I have balloons? Are people celebrating? I don't know. It's the filter. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I watch those all the time. I don't like CNN. You know, they rarely have anything of value. I don't like M Snow, you know, but I don't like to read the HuffPost or the LA Times. I'm not enjoying those offerings, but they give me perspective. And sometimes I do get information from them that I'm not getting from other people. Do you know? Where's Nancy? Everybody, where is Nancy Guthrie? Okay. Do you know that when the Nancy Guthrie situation popped off, I was glued to it all day, you know, for a couple of days. And I was scolding CNN for not covering it. They really just kind of left it alone. And I thought it was because we were going to find out an illegal alien did this. And I think that's what they thought too. But you know what happened? Fox ended up doing only wall-to-wall coverage of Savannah Guthrie. And I ended up having to go to CNN and M Snow to get anything else about anything else. And they weren't saying good things, you know, it wasn't great information, but at least they were covering it, you know? So the Gen Z team, Gavin's team, they don't have any curiosity, and they don't have any alternate sources. So they really are that dumb. They really, and so to them, they do think they're winning because they see all of the responses from left-wing media, and they're like, yeah, see, everyone's calling us a hero. Everyone's like saying, go Gavin. And they don't know that they don't know, you know, how stupid they look. And that's fine. I mean, I like making fun of them on X, and I do tell them how stupid they look, but I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm going to bet Izzy's not watching this, so I think I can be honest. Izzy is Gavin's boy. I'm going to be honest with you. I like it. I like that they think they're winning. I like that they think they're being effective. And I like that they don't watch any of us. And I like that nothing we say matters to them. Because the more they take that attitude, the dumber they look. And if I didn't hate the Newsoms so much, I would be laughing. But I actually despise these people. I think they're worthy of your hate. I actually do. And I don't use that term lightly, because Christians are instructed to tread very lightly with that. But God does hate sin. And I do think the Newsoms have created perpetrated some very dastardly sins upon the California people. So I don't think they deserve my grace. Perhaps they do, but I'll leave all that up to God, because Kira don't have it again. All right, let's do number 2. Let's do cut 2. We'll see if this plays. I don't know, it hasn't been playing live, but the sound should play. Jennifer Siebel Newsom worrying about the bullies. Let's hear what she has to say.
I just witnessed Donald Trump's comments about learning disabilities and my husband, Gavin Newsom, and I honestly had to take a beat. Suggesting that someone with dyslexia or any learning difference for that matter is somehow less capable of leading or achieving is extremely ignorant and offensive. Dyslexia is not a measure of intelligence. In fact, quite the contrary, and learning differences do not determine someone's potential. On the contrary, some of the most successful leaders in business and the world have dyslexia. Day in and day out, Trump says things
I don't
that
think
make
Gavin is one of them.
Fit for office.
You can keep playing.
He degrades our vulnerable communities, our institutions, even the Constitution itself. And somehow we're told to ignore it, turn a blind eye, pretend everything is normal. Guess what? It's not.
They ask
and we're
us.
fed up. As someone who grew up in a
Pretend
Republican
everything's
household,
normal.
shame on the Republican Party for normalizing this vile specimen of a human being stationed at the top of their party. There are millions of kids in this country with learning differences who are already working twice as hard to keep up. Kids who are trying to believe in themselves.
We like those kids.
I know this personally. A few of my children learn differently. I see the emotions, the toll, the coping mechanisms, the extra hours, the grit it takes them every single day. And I know they're going to be fabulous. Learning differences don't make you less intelligent. They don't make you less capable. And they certainly don't make you less worthy of leadership.
Why is she calling it learning differences now?
And honestly,
if
we're going to talk about what's disqualifying in a leader.
He's campaigning on the fact that he has a disability.
A convicted felon, a man found liable for sexual abuse, a man notorious for degrading female journalists, a man with a track record for bankrupting businesses, a man whose name has shown thousands of times in the...
That's very interesting. She said, I wonder if she ran that through a lawyer. Maybe someone should tag the Trump team on this. She said a man found liable for sexual abuse. I don't even think that was a charge. I know they're walking this back, right? Because Stephanopoulos, ABC, everybody got their asses sued. The ladies on The View got their asses sued for lying about that Jean Carroll lawsuit, right? They all he got convicted of rape. Well, not even close. It wasn't even sexual abuse. I think the charge was just libel, right? I think what Jean Carroll's charge was, he's lying about me lying. I don't know, but the Trumps are very litigious on this, as they should be. So after the show, I'm going to actually tag them on this, and I think you should too. And let's make sure that the Newsoms are within there. Okay, you can let Jennifer go. We don't care what else she has to say. What lane are we in here, Mr. and Mrs. Newsom? What direction do you want to go with this? Let us know. Is Gavin oppressed because he has a learning disability? Because this is what he's campaigning on. He tried the I ate Kraft mac and cheese thing, right? Didn't work. Even black folks called him out. Even the black men he said that to called him out to his face. All right. So that was embarrassing for him. And he was clearly embarrassed too in the moment. So that's not true. He said his dad only didn't buy him a car. His dad promised a car and then didn't buy him a car. That he tried to run on that as being oppressed for a minute. And then we found out that his dad eventually did buy him a car. He wrote it in the book. His dad did buy me a car, but it was a used car. He didn't say that the used car was a Porsche. So he tried to run on that. He can't run on that. He's not black. He's not a woman. He's not trans. He's not gay. What does a rich white man from the richest state in the union run on? Oh, well, he's suddenly got a learning disability. That's supposed to explain why he's a moron. But he doesn't even call it a learning disability, because I think if you call it a learning disability, then you're going to need some more records to back that up. And somehow no one can find Gavin's records on dyslexia. He says he was diagnosed. He wrote it in his book that he was diagnosed, but no one has seen the receipts for his so-called dyslexia or the treatment of it. So it's very interesting that he's chosen to run on that. Why? Because in the Democrat victim Olympics, you cannot run for office if you don't have some kind of victim story, and it's the best he could do. And here comes Jen Newsom out here to say, oh, you guys are bullying my husband, as if anyone thinks of you guys as the bullied. Not a single person does. You guys are so rich. You have multiple homes. You have multiple vehicles. You take luxurious vacations. Your husband isn't even in the state he runs. He's been vacationing across the country, selling books while he's doing it. We see while the fires were raging, you guys were podcasting. When COVID hit, you left the state and moved to where your kids could be in school. When COVID hit, and you didn't vaccinate your kids when you were telling everybody else to do that. Everybody sees it, Jennifer. Everybody sees what freaking hypocrites you are. Even your own people see it. This is not a me thing. Even Democrats see it. And that's why you had to go out and make this ridiculous video. You should be embarrassed. We all know what you did with Harvey Weinstein. We all know. And go to AB's feed. We all know what you did with him too. He don't keep it a secret. We all know. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you talk to us as if you have any kind of moral authority, let alone reason to talk to us, to lecture us about bullies and kindness and creeps and criminals. You guys are absolutely creeps and criminals. You guys are the bullies. See, while Jennifer and her husband were telling you to close your business down or because you're going to kill your grandmother, while they made you see your grandma from behind a plastic sheet at the nursing home, while they fined you for daring to do business when they wanted you to be closed, while they kept your kids out of school, while they scolded you for holding family holiday gatherings during COVID, and while they let millions of illegals stream over the border of California alone, unvetted and unvaccinated, while they force you to get an experimental vaccination or risk losing your job or bank account or social media account, while they were doing all of that, they were also dining at the French Laundry, $10,000 a plate, and Gavin's restaurants and wineries were open. We saw it, Jen. We remember it. It wasn't long ago enough for the mainstream media to bury it, and the mainstream media doesn't have power anymore. It's us. So you can spare me your lecture, your fake sort of woman of the people look in a closet. Try to find the most low-key place in your house to make a video like that. In your mansion. You people are disgusting. And I no longer think that people like that are just people who got sucked up by the swamp, because I do have compassion for that. I get it. There's a certain type of person. They're not a bad person, but the swamp is very swampy. But Jen Newsom knew what she was getting into. She knew what she was marrying. She did that on purpose. She wants to be the first lady, and she is going to ride this train all the way to the bottom. Jen Newsom, you're a bully. You're a bully and a woman hater. You're a traitor to your sex. And every time you get out there and defend your husband against anything, we know, we feel bad for you, right? You're the woman that I would point to and say to my daughter, don't be like her. Don't marry that guy. Don't sleep with that producer. Don't lie about your talent or what you do just to get ahead. There's nothing about Jen Siebel Newsom that I would look at and think that any Californian woman should want to be. So you can spare us your lectures, Jen. We don't care about you, and you're never going to be the first lady. Excuse me. You're never going to be the first partner. These people are amazing. All right. What else do we have going on here? Oh, here's a fun story. I do want to talk about this, and then I want to wrap it up real quick. Two things. Number 5, Scott, former San Francisco homeless CEO Gwendolyn Westbrook has been charged with misspending $1.2 million. A little story. I want you to Take a look at Gwendolyn Westbrook. She's the longtime CEO of the United Council of Human Services. That's a San Francisco nonprofit that got city contracts to run homeless programs like encampment sites during the pandemic. So if you don't know what an encampment site is, well, that's another thing that the government did that wasn't fair, right? You had to be locked in your home, but the homeless people could wander around and do whatever. Their big solution was to just open empty parking lots and create drug tent cities. We Californians are the most generous people in the nation when it comes to homelessness. Where there's no shortage of money. It's an industry. We don't have homeless people because we don't have enough money. We have homeless people because the people in charge of solving the problem are thieves and liars. Should I state the obvious? Thieves and liars. Back in February, around the 24th, Gwendolyn Westbrook was hit with 9 felony charges. Prosecutors say she misappropriated over $1.2 million in public funds between 2019 and 2023, unauthorized self-payments, cash withdrawals, and using the money for personal things like lavish vacations and lifestyles. And then I went to Grok and I asked Grok to make me a list of stuff that she bought. Here's what Grok told me. She bought a Tesla for herself, a Jeep Renegade for a friend, an Infiniti SUV. This is the director of homeless services in San Francisco. Homeless services. This is a Democrat. The Democrats that tell you they care and Republicans don't care. Okay. A Jeep Renegade for a friend, Infiniti SUV for a niece, 2 more vehicles for cousins. What a great family member. They say she bought high-end stuff at Louis Vuitton and Neiman Marcus and jewelry. And some people even said she drove around with a trunk full of jewelry. Plus, she paid for family weddings, fertility treatment, and mortgages. $1.2 million. That's just what they can prove, I guess. It's more than that. There's way more money than that running through the homeless industrial complex in San Francisco. That's a Democrat. Okay. There's no Republicans to blame in San Francisco. There's no Republicans to blame. It's only Democrats. Everybody, we have an election coming up in 2026. I don't care if you hate Republicans. I don't care if you think Republicans are out to get you. We have a 2-party system. So the only way you can send a message to Democrats, it's not to elect another Democrat. Okay? You keep doing that, and they just keep ending up being the same. All right? What you have to do is disrupt the system. The way you disrupt the system is vote for a Republican. Okay? Disrupt the system, vote for the Republican candidates, because there are no Republicans to blame. And look at the flip side, Democrats. If you do that and somehow we get a Republican, at least more Republican representation and Republican majority, even maybe you will have someone to blame for all of the problems. And then you can blame Californians and their mess on the Republicans. So it's kind of like a win-win. Why don't we do this? But I wrote on my Substack today, misery is the point. Misery is, you're supposed to look at that and see that it's not fair, that you're starving and struggling and can't afford your mortgage while this woman is giving away your money that you've given to help the homeless so that you don't have to see them when you walk to school and work. And she's taken that money and bought fertility treatments for someone you don't know and bought a Tesla for herself. Yeah, you're supposed to see it. They do it in front of your face because they think you can't do anything about it. The misery is the point. You're supposed to be discouraged. You're supposed to feel like you're spinning your wheels. It's supposed to create a sense of anxiety in you so that you don't know what to do and you just give up. This is why great leaders are important. Great leaders can inspire action. And so I want to challenge everybody to look to the leaders in your community. Don't look to your governor. We have to vote for these people that are important. But all of this stuff is starting right where you are. Do you know what I mean? The only reason that Nick Shirley does what he does is because he gets messages from people in the local community going, hey, this is kind of weird. There's this daycare here and they get $2 million a year and I haven't seen a single child. And that was local people recognizing that. And what did I tell you yesterday? If you don't control your local government, where do you think the swamp comes from? We're the feeder. All right. The swamp doesn't generate its own creatures. Those people come from local government. If you don't demand excellence and accountability at your local level, then all you do is create monsters who become bigger monsters. And then they take their monstrous behavior to the Capitol and they represent monstrous behavior there. And then they get access to more of your tax dollars and more of your records and more fraud and more corruption. It's bigger in DC, right? Because that's trillions of taxpayer dollars flowing through their hands instead of just billions. What you do here matters the most. It matters the most. There's some things that the president has to take care of. It's just for him to do, right? War, tariffs, the border. Like there are some things obviously you need your federal government for, but we've done this really weird flip. It's not a weird flip. It's been on purpose, but this is the danger. We've done this flip where everyone has been told to imagine that federal government is the most powerful government in your life. And it is not. The most powerful government is the government closest to you. I cannot stress enough. Donald Trump did not close your schools. All right. And then in that line of thinking, I do want to, let's bring up number 4, just real quick. You don't have to play any sound or anything, but I just want people to see this because we're going to actually be talking to these guys hopefully soon here in Orange County. And I'm going to tell you why it matters. But the Creek team and OC, so we have found, again, if you're not paying attention to what's going on locally, you're missing a whole lot. And then that gets to trickle up. So, somebody found out that they've been spraying Roundup in our waterways here in Orange County. Now, in Orange County, this is like the great green natural paradise. Like we're always priding ourselves on our clean beaches and our clean laws and our paper bags and whatever BS we pretend actually helps the environment. And yet we're all natural here, right? If you want, this is the home of gluten-free in Orange County. You know what I mean? And we're spraying Roundup in our waterways that flow out into the beaches of San Juan Capistrano and San Clemente, which is where our surf teams practice, our swim teams practice, triathletes practice, families go to swim. I don't swim near those waterways right now. I would not. These are chemicals that are proven to disrupt hormones, to disrupt fertility. They're horrible. So you didn't know that was going on because you've got your eye on Washington, D.C., Trump, Iraq, Hakeem Jeffries, Ilhan Omar, whoever. But somebody in their own neighborhood noticed, and guess what? The story went viral. Suddenly everybody's like, no, we don't like this. And so the Creek team actually became a real organization. They're only a few weeks old, and they've been making inroads so much so that they're moving to the Santa Ana River. So they want to bring their message to the Santa Ana River and what's going on there. California, thank you, Scott. California, this is all on purpose. They tell you that you're going to kill the environment and you're causing fires because of your air conditioner. So they're going to move us to solar energy. But then solar energy takes these lithium monstrosities, I don't even like panels. They take up 5,000 acres of desert and they power a quarter of what a nuclear plant or even a coal power plant would do. They tell you because it's for the environment, and then they put Roundup in your water. The misery is the point. The misery is the point. So how do you keep from being miserable? Well, I want to challenge everybody to engage in a real act of counter-revolution and choose not to be miserable. I have a real problem with the chemtrails in the skies. We've been getting blasted here in California, and I can no longer ignore it. And so me and my mom friends have been like We're freaking out. I'm looking out the window right now. It's supposed to be a really hot day, and they're just like crisscrossing the skies. The sun, it's called sun dimming. You can look it up. It's an actual real program. Bill Gates has a program. It's a global program, actually. And because our federal skies aren't regulated, anybody can do whatever they want to us. Oh, you didn't know that. Federal skies aren't regulated. FCC regulates traffic, but there's no regulations for what they can dump on us. And the thing is that I can look up every day and feel anxiety and get upset. And I do, you can go to my Instagram and it's like nonstop chemtrail stories, but I can be upset, and I am upset, but what I can't do is let it make me miserable. And I realized that today. Misery is the point. And so if you want to be counterculture, then choose not to be miserable. Choose joy, choose liberty, choose to be thankful for the good things in your life or the easy things in your life. I listened to, on my walk today, I chose to put on Keith Green. If you're a Christian out there, particularly a Gen X Christian, you know Keith Green and you love Keith Green, one of the most anointed musicians, I think probably of all time. And I chose to listen to Keith Green today instead of anything else. And you know what? When you're worshiping and you're praising, it's really hard to feel miserable. So if you don't know how do I do that, Kira? I look everywhere. There's we've got the tariffs, gas, chemtrails, if you're that kind of weirdo, or, whatever, illegal immigration. I'm looking at all this stuff. I feel so helpless. I don't know what's real. I don't know what's not real. Let me tell you, Jesus is real. The kingdom is real. That's the one thing you can count on, no matter what you believe, even. Because I'm all the way down the rabbit hole with these conspiracy theories, right? Do we live in a simulation? Do we live under a firmament? Do we live in a computer program, or like whatever you think? Prison Planet is one I've seen. Whatever you think, and I'd pick your conspiracy. Whatever you think it is, you can trust the word that it has poked through all those layers to get to you, because that's what God tells us. He says, my voice always rings through the generations. My voice will always come to you. You can depend on this word. It was the first thing. In the beginning was the word. It was the first thing. So no matter how confused you get about anything else, no matter what, if you think, I don't know if it's real, am I living in a simulation? Well, if you are, be grateful, because God still managed to get you his word through the simulation. Even still, nothing can stop him. That's something to be grateful for. You don't have to settle on misery, even though there's plenty of miserable things happening here. We're winning. That's why everything's going to shit right now. We're winning. Right? The enemy is mounting their last stand. We're winning. And that is what they cannot tolerate. That's why you have to hold the line right where you are. You have to encourage your politicians to hold the line. These are not the best of the best that we send there. All right. These are weak men and women. Many of them, not all of them. Many of them are. But the way that they can be swayed with negative feedback, they can be swayed with positive feedback, because they are just that vain. So encourage the politicians who are working for you and doing the things you want done. Encourage them. And hold the line where you are. Tell the truth where you are. Say it wherever it is. Don't apologize for yourself anymore. Don't apologize for saying the things that are true and obvious. Like I said at the top about the Houston rodeo in Florida, And don't be afraid to take it to your own community too. Like, we got to start holding ourselves accountable. I'm not going to walk into, the redneck white community and tell those folks to stop cutting up. And there's plenty of videos of those people out there, but I'm going to ask you guys to do that, right? Y'all redneck adjacent folks out there, you do that. Like, let's take some accountability. Let's do what we can where we can. Let's stand up for the truth where we see it. Do not be afraid. Be the person who doesn't just exit the Facebook thread when it starts talking about pronouns. Be the person who also says, no, boys can't be girls. Say it. Who cares? What does it buy you to keep your mouth shut? Misery. Follow the Orange Report. We do California news, California views, but I'm also just merging it with my Just Kira Davis brand. So If you want to hear all of my ranting like I do today with a California spin, you definitely want to be on the Orange Report. We've got lots of local news as well. I'm doing a report on our local board of supervisors, but what I hope to do is that it inspires you where you are to look into your local government and hold them accountable as well. But I also hope that people know, like in California, we've got a lot going on, and what we have going on in even our smallest of cities is making its way to you in regular America. So you need to be alert and know what's going on. And also we need help in Orange County because we're really under duress. We're the red jewel of California. We're sort of the last holdouts here. Everything Newsom does is aimed at us. So we also need help. So I want the larger nation to know what's going on here. Follow us. Happy St. Patty's Day, by the way. Oh my gosh, my son and I, we're wrapping up work here and we're going out drinking. We're going out drinking. We're gonna say goodbye to misery and we're gonna go get happy. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Listen, our Irish brothers and sisters are going through it right now over there in the UK. I'm not sure if anything can help them right now except violent revolution, but I want my Irish brothers and sisters to know, as a Black American, keep Ireland Irish. We support you. I don't want to go to Ireland to be greeted by a bunch of Kenyans. I don't. I want to go to Ireland to see Irish people, white, ginger, soulless gingers. I want to see all of it. I want that. Ireland, we stand with you. We hope you can take back your country. In the meantime, we will celebrate with you here in the United States for St. Patty's Day. I'm going to go get some beer and I'm just going to go get silly today because I'm a grown up and I can. God bless you all. Bring on the sunshine.